Feedback. Feedback.
Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you.
Feedback. Feedback. Feedback.
We want to welcome you. Happy Monday. I am Thabiti Mpinda, and this is the Feedback Program, and we're so happy to have you in attendance. There's a lot of things we're going to be discussing today. I have two wonderful female guests, lady guests, and we're going to get into a lot of different things. First, I want to give a shout out. Shout out to Theo. She's not here today, taking care of her business. So you have me piloting this plane, and we will have two guests, Tahira and my granddaughter Kim. They will be co-piloting the show with me. Again, my name is Thabiti Mpinda. This is Feedback, and we're happy to have you with us. I want to give some shout-outs first. Shout-out to Theo, Brother Mark Cummings, also Gladys, Vera, Jackie, Sister Jackie, my street warrior out there, hitting the ground and doing the, rolling up the sleeves and doing the work. Sister Ruth Ann also out there on the ground trying to enlighten the community. And now I want to introduce you to Kim. She's going to give some shout outs. We'll have Tahira give shout outs, and then we're just going to jump right in this pot of stew, and we're going to stir it up for you.
Okay, I like to shout out my friends and family, and I like to shout out my school, CMA, and I would like to shout out my dad because he's been fighting through a lot, and yeah, he's been through a lot, and I just want to shout him out.
And Sister Tahira?
I want to shout your dad out too. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to shout out Theo. I want to thank you for having me on again on your show. I want to shout out R.J. Watkins. I want to shout out the whole Watkins crew and team here at WHPR. I want to shout out Mr. Wendell and others that I know who are ride or live. I don't like the term ride or die, but ride or live.
Yeah, like that. Now, for a note right now, today is the 22nd of July, and it's also the last day that you can register if you want to be a part of the primary, which is August the 6th. We're going to get into the politics of it, but now, again, today is the last day that you can register if you want to vote in the primary on August 6th. And I'm truly hoping that all of you are registered. But if not, do that. And if you aren't today registered, then prepare yourself to be registered for the upcoming presidential election in November, which is very critical. As many of you know, hopefully all of you know, but as many of you know, the current president, Joe Biden, has withdrawn his bid to be the president for the next 4 years. So he's passed the baton on to Kamala Harris, who we also want to acknowledge as our choice. Now, of course, we know that the convention for the Democratic Party is coming up in a few weeks, and it will be the convention that decides who will be the presidential, presumptive, as they sometimes say, presidential candidate who will take on the Orange Bandit. I ain't going to give him too many props now. I'm just going to call him the Orange Bandit. So I'm hoping that you all are registered. And if you're 18, and I'm not sure what the cutoff is, but if you're 18, you can check with your local clerk's office. Find out if you will be 18 in time enough to vote in this presidential election. But again, today is the last day that you can vote or register to vote for the primary. So let's get it together. We need a big turnout. I tell people all the time that just like what happened in 2008 when former President Barack Obama ran, I mean, there was an overwhelming turnout of voters. Well, we need that this time too, because currently the Heritage Project, which is promoting something called Project 2025, Heritage Foundation Brothers, which is promoting something called Project 2025, will turn back the hands of history, will turn back the hands of time, and will turn whatever lifestyle you have now into almost being a servant again. No Social Security, so many things. So, Sister Tahira, I'm going to let you give us your input on that, and then we're just going to go around and let everyone express a viewpoint. And again, we're going to cover a number of different topics today, which includes school, which is why my granddaughter is here, because there's some things that just need to be made right. Sister Tahira?
Yes, thank you for that, Brother Thabiti. If we're students of history, we realize that this always happens. You know, and this has always been happening here as black people in the United States of America. They gave us Reconstruction and took it back, gave us 40 acres and a mule and took it back. We saved the country from Donald Trump before with our votes, and nobody gets elected without the black vote. We saved America. Each time we save America, it doesn't save us. We shouldn't have to deal with a lot of these problems that we have because we're always voting for the Democrats and they get in, but once they get in, they don't do what they promised they would do for us. And they know they owe us, 40 acres and a mule. They know that. They know that we are people who brought America into fruition. The first person who died for the Revolutionary War, for America to become America and freedom from the British, was Brother Crispus Attucks. And you don't hear that in the schools. But they need to know that the first person who died for the Revolutionary War was a black man, Crispus Attucks. A lot of our students don't know that what happened in Reconstruction, that there were several black senators. There were several black Congress people way back then. So we need to hold America accountable. Now, it's a blessing that we do have some people who are advocating for us here in America, but it's always just a little teeny bit, crumbs from the table. We are demanding reparations now, and this is the time for us. It's been 450 years. I want to say 400, but 450 years since the enslavement of our people. And we still don't have voting rights. What is that, okay? We don't have the John Lewis bill. We don't have the George Floyd bill. Brothers and sisters are being shot down, killed, and beaten in the streets by our tax dollars paying the police. So we need to study history, we need to do our research, and we need to hold people accountable. All of the leaders, so-called leaders, they need to be held accountable right now because Kamala Harris is duly elected as vice president. Now you're hearing rumblings because President Biden bowed out. Now you're hearing rumblings like, well, we ought to have an open convention. Why? She's the vice president. She's next in line. But just because she's black, you know, now we got a problem. So we urge the Democrats, don't fumble this ball this time. Go ahead and get Kamala in there. Kamala, don't fumble the ball this time. Give black people justice. And that's my diatribe today.
Now I want to ask Kimberly, because you did bring up black history, I want to ask you, what have you, does your school teach black history? What have you learned from your school?
Well, my school does teach black history, but it's like a handful of it. It's not like a full-blown, oh, this person did this and this person did this. For example, for a Black History Month, not a lot of my teachers decided to do have us do Black History projects. I will only say one of my teachers did have our class do an assignment on Black history, and I remember my project was Robert Smalls because he was the first, I want to say the first black man to be shipped in a box, and then, or no, not shipped in a box, I'm sorry. He was the first black man to escape because he was in the Civil War. I think it was either the Civil War or the Cold War, and he had tricked his or waited for his captain to go to sleep, and then he stole the boat so he can go get his family and the other slaves, well, enslaved people. And when they got back on the water, the I want to say the Soviets, they were trying to attack them, but they surrendered. They showed on their flag that they surrendered and that they were enslaved people, and they let them be free.
Now, I want to emphasize something that Kimberly said also. A lot of times, because we've been used to doing it, we still have this habit of saying slaves. And she corrected herself, and I always correct everyone and say that we were not slaves. They didn't go to Africa and get slaves. They went and got Africans, and then they enslaved them. So let us try to, and it's going to take some time because habits are hard to break. I'm trying to get one as far as my posture is concerned. So let me tell you, habits are hard to break when you're used to doing something for years. But let us get used to saying that they were enslaved people. They were not slaves, because when you say that, you diminish their humanity.
Right.
And when they came here, they came with skills. They didn't bring no lazy, as they try to stereotype, ignorant people over here. They brought craftsmen. They brought people who knew about agriculture, who knew about building. Because I can tell you one thing, the Caucasian, he may have put a brick down, but he didn't build nothing. So we have to be aware that we were the ones who not only built the physical structures of this country, but we built the financial infrastructure of this country as well, because we provided, as Malcolm would tell you, we provided free labor for over a couple of 100 years. There's no pension, no days off, maybe Sunday, because I guess he had a little bit of a conscience, although Malcolm says when you speak about moral conscience, they have no morals or no conscience. So why are you talking about moral conscience? So we want to get into that. Now, Sister, I'm going to let you, Tahira, and then we're going to get back into some school stuff that Kim was speaking about in terms of curriculum.
Yes, so that's correct, and she corrected it. I'm so proud of her. Kim, you just make me so proud. Oh, my God. But, yes, I like to say we, because it is us. It's our ancestors. We are them. They are us. We were enslaved. Not we were slaves, but we were enslaved. And it wasn't free labor. I just want to clarify that one, Brother Thabiti. That was forced labor.
Right.
That was we were made to work from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. Many of us were worked to death. We had to clear this land. There was no roads let you see right now, and a few trees here and there, houses and this and that. There were trees galore. They had to cut down the cypress trees, which are huge. Some of them trees in California, look how big they are. Our ancestors had to cut them down. They didn't have saws, electric saws. They had to cut them down by hand with these, primitive items to cut huge trees down. We got to realize what happened to us. And it has residual effects today in our everyday life. We are fearful to, there was a time when a Caucasian person was walking towards you, you had to step off into the gutter and the crap and stuff on the streets, because there were a lot of horses and everything, mud and stuff. It wasn't cleared like you see today. It was mud and crap, horse crap. We had to step off. It was a conditioning of enslavement. You are inferior, and it was enforced through the culture. And so I just want to give our young people an idea of what enslavement was. You didn't have rights. You had tattered clothes in the wintertime to get out there. You didn't get a blanket, or you get a piece of fabric. And we died, many of us, before 40 years old. We were worked to death. If we made it over to America, many of us jumped over the ship and jumped in the ocean because we knew what the fate was, and it was a horrible fate, but many of us fought back. We took over ships. The Amistad is a very good example of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we took over ships. We took over land. Haiti is an example of how we took our freedom and went to. Now today Haiti is freed African people who freed themselves. We always fought. We fought in all the wars of America. You see a lot of immigrants coming here demanding rights from America. Well, the only people that can demand rights from America are black people. We are the only ones who were enslaved and brought here and made to work and create this country. This America that you see now, they're hollering about democracy, it was the black voice and fighting to demand democracy and made America a more democratic state. And so the history should show that black people today, if we are paid reparations, we would own this country. We would have trillions of dollars. Pay us back. That's how much you owe us. The cotton industry, the tobacco industry, the sugar industry, all was created against our wills by us. There are billion-dollar companies right now because of enslavement. That's why they owe us money. We built the White House. We built Wall Street. Catholic Church had a lot to do with, not just a lot, they were the ones that said that we were inferior. There were other people that were enslaved, indentured state servants later on down the line. But the Catholic Church mandated that from now on, slaves will be black people. So I don't want to just go on and on, but I just want to clarify that we were worked to death. We were made to work. We lost our rights in Africa. We weren't we were people who had skills, not just skills, but we were artisans. We had nations. We created Egypt, Kemet. We built pyramids. We are the greatest people on the planet. And when we talk about melanin, we're going to show you how even more great chemically that we are.
Now, Kim, what I want to ask you is, like you were saying, this current last school year, they didn't really get into it. But maybe you could tell us from, like, let's say maybe when you first started school up to this point, were there any schools, because I know you went to a few different schools, were there any schools that actually seemed to focus on black history at all, or any of your teachers?
I want to say yes. At my middle school, it was a middle school and elementary school. We had in middle school, when I was in middle school, in 6th grade, our teacher, Miss Rhymes, she had made us do a project, and mostly that whole school year, she talked about African American history and about enslaved people, and yeah.
And this is critical, because one of the things we have a problem with, many of you know, is that there's a shortage of black teachers, particularly male teachers, who end up being role models. So when Sister Tahira had mentioned Paul Robeson, Marcus Garvey, and the Malcolm X Academy, their focus was on, let's say, uplifting and enlightening us on our heroes. We learn the general and basic curriculum which you need to function in any society on this planet, math, etc., science, and those things, which are pretty much, I want to say, set in stone. But when you get into the cultural side, there was a lot of that was missing. And our children, matter of fact, our children particularly, but in general, any other culture, whether it's Hispanic, Asian, none of those were really given a paragraph maybe within the context of a whole story about, well, for instance, the Japanese were initially the ones who started building railroads, but they weren't physically fit to be able to handle that. They couldn't get the Caucasian to do it because all he had to do was just run someplace else, and he just blend right in with the society. We were the most distinct and physically as well as mentally capable of doing this. So I say that to say that we want to emphasize that, let me add this to this as I think about it now. The home should be one of the foundations. Now, I know a lot of parents weren't taught certain things in African and African-American history, so it's hard to pass down something you didn't learn yourself. But now, if we're going to take time for Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok and YouTube, let us grasp and hold on to things that we can relate to. Because trying to relate to someone else's culture, which is what we've been trying to do, we've been trying this, and it just ain't working.
Against our will.
Yeah, it's not our culture. We tried to assimilate, we tried to deal with it, but the character and nature of our enslavers is not ours. And I can get into some very deep things, but I'm going to kind of save a little bit of that. But their culture is not our culture, and our attempt to be a part of their culture is failing miserably. And even if we did try to assimilate and be indoctrinated, etc., it's still not working because they still won't accept the color of our complexion. So no matter how, I use Senator Tim Scott. I call him Uncle Tim. He's been trying so hard. I mean, he reminds me of Donkey, and I never really looked at Shrek too much, but the way he be showing his teeth, he reminds me of Donkey and Shrek, because he always got that big old full grin on his face. But ain't nobody liking him. We've already revoked his cultural pass, so he can't come home again. He's just out there like a fish. You know how you see a fish out of water be just flipping and flapping. That's what he's doing, flipping and flapping his mouth, but he ain't doing us no good. So I want to emphasize again as to what Kim was saying about how she did have one teacher who was a little bit more focused in trying to bring our culture to our students. And at this point, while they're students, they are at their most impressionable state. This is when we have to sow the seeds of self-knowledge, self-worth, so that way they have that foundation to build on and know that they can go anywhere in the world. Now, Sister Tahira, I know you got tons of information.
When you brought that Japanese thing up, let me just let you know, enslaved labor was used to build many railroads in the American South before the Civil War. Southern railroad companies owned many enslaved, is what they want to say, and were led by slaveholders who are also directors and stockholders. That's who also owe us reparations, by the way. By 1860, the South's railroad network was one of the largest in the world, and almost all of it was built with slave labor. So the Japanese, I don't know where they came from, because they're not in this picture. Prior to the Civil War, nearly every railroad in the American South was built using slave labor. During the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, U.S. military railroads, USMRR, employed thousands of African Americans in the strategically important effort of moving men and materials, enabling the North to achieve victory. So we're responsible for America not only getting freed from the British, but to make America what it is, freeing them from the Confederates. And that's who you meant to say when you, Kim, when you said something about, I think you mentioned the Russians. No, it was the Confederates. It was the Southern racist slave owners. See, America was about slavery and black people. And the North, which did have some slaves, but very few, but they were fighting against the South. And the South had all the money because enslavement made all the wealth. And so the South was the richest, and they were fighting against the North that didn't have that kind of wealth. because of enslavement. So that's, you were talking about the Confederates. And there was another black man who I admire, Kim. He's the one, he mailed himself into the North to freedom. He got in a box and mailed himself to the door. You know, we always come up with some ingenious stuff.
Yeah, I had said that first, but it was like kind of mixed information. But
Okay.
yeah, I think his name was Robert Box Brown, maybe. I think. Yeah, he mailed himself in a box
Okay.
for to freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that fun to read about that? But you know, the brutality of enslavement. See, schools don't talk enough about that, and a lot of us black people don't really want to hear it because it's so painful. We not really don't want to hear it, but we don't really want to talk about it because it's so painful. Caucasian people did to us is so painful. They used to lynch us at the stake. They burn us at the stake, burn us alive, cut off pieces of our body and take it back to the town. The whole town would come out for a lynching. They would falsely accuse a black man or woman or family, because they lynched whole families too. They falsely accused them of raping a white woman or doing something to them, to a white woman. And they would put them in jail, and they go to the jail and bust in there and grab him and take him to a tree, hang him up on the tree, cut off pieces of his body, dismember him while he's alive, okay, by the way, burn him alive, okay, and take souvenirs back, pieces of his body as souvenirs. One good book to read is 100 Years of Lynchings,
Exactly.
where it has newspaper accounts of these lynchings. See, America doesn't want us to hear that. DeSantis over there in Florida, he wants to sanitize history. But we are here as witnesses, as descendants of our enslaved ancestors, and it is incumbent upon us to talk about it, to hold them accountable for it. We ain't forgot. You want to pay for this.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned how DeSantis wanted to sanitize it. Now, when they first opened the Charles Wright Museum of African American History, I remember going that first day. The lines were incredibly long. And they had enslaved people sitting on boats as if they were tourists on a Continental Cruise Line or one of these other Princess Cruise Line. And we had to really fight to get them to do it. Now, I've taken Kim to this is something for all of you as well. Make sure you visit and support the Charles H. Wright Museum. I've taken my granddaughter a number of times, and there's just a wealth of things that you learn. They had to change the way they displayed Africans on the ship. They had some just sitting back like they posing, looking out at the water and everything, chilling. It wasn't that way. If you go there, you will see how they were set one next to another, as if you were laying straws one next to another in a row all the way down. They used, and they made it a point to get as much cargo, because that's basically what we were. We were cargo, we were property, but we weren't human, on that boat. And all of them, as Sister Tahira said, did not make it. Some, they would let some up, you know, get a little fresh air, because that was merchandise to be sold. So, you know, if you got something on your store counters that you can't sell, you don't want to get rid of it, because that's part of your profit going. So the whole thing was just to get as many as they want. But they sanitized that like DeSantis wants to sanitize the whole idea of it, you know, and we can't help it, you know, if y'all feel uncomfortable about it, so what? If your discomfort cannot even come close to measuring our comfort. So right now we're about to take our first break, and as Theo would say, go get your coffee, go get your juice.
Go get
something.
a book.
Yeah. I'm going to get into books later. I read something on YouTube about that, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned and let someone else know to tune in.
Hello, I'm James Ford. I survived the red light runner, but will you? You know, Michigan has had 1,123 auto accident deaths a year. That's 21 per week. We know Detroit alone has 156 deaths, and that equals 3 a week. Those stats do not include the 550 people that are crippled and disabled a month. At 12 noon, September 18th, 2024, people in Detroit and other cities in Michigan will meet in Lansing, state capital, and complain about red light running, drag racing, and hallucinated driving. Yes, bring your lawn chairs. September 18th, Detroit and all Michigan cities will ask legislatures to enforce and enact laws that will stop drag racing and red light running and hallucinated driving. You know, this is not different than the Flint water crisis. People are dying. Join us Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. If you like, call 586-918-3061 for more information. Drag racing, red light running, hallucinated driving, it must stop. Stand up, September 18th. Call and share your input. Call 586-918-3061 or call 701-301-3118. Also, again, people of all nationalities, express your input and ideas at 586-918-3061 or 701-301-3118 to stop drag racing, red light running, and hallucinated driving. Thank you, and God bless everybody. Thank you.
It's the These Nuts Show with your host, Butter and friends. Butter here, magician escape artist, practicing for my show tonight. Come on in, have a seat.
All right, everybody, settle. Butter, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
In a few seconds, you gotta be enough to get out of this one. Twist a little turn, ta-da! It's showtime! It's your old friend Butter here. I may be a nut, but I know to wear my mask. Please welcome our first guest tonight, fitness guru, Wally Wallnut.
Wally Wallnut here to tell you to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds so you will stay healthy and strong like me.
Almond Cruz here, sliding in with the news. Distance is what we must do to stay away from the chew and other germs in the air that might be trying to get on you. Social distancing is a wonderful way to see friends. As long as you're 6 feet apart, you win.
Hey there, friends. I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's me, Pumpkin Spice, your healthy girl. Remember, it's important to use your kind hearts and follow the signs to stay healthy and safe at all times.
Chica Chumutsky here to say, don't forget the little ones that need you to lead the way. That's how we remember to wash our hands, mask, and social distance today.
Morgan Raisin. Yes, it's me, here to sing about health and safety. We are all here to help get a message out to your grapevine, teaching healthy choices to stay safe all the time.
Don't let these guys drive you nuts. Put your mask on first. They'll let you be. And it keeps me safe from the
chew
that's trying to get on me.
Butter me up. She's right, you know. Thank you, Hallie Cranberry, for joining the show. Let's all be nuts about our health. Social distancing, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and wear a mask. Practice what we learned to stay away from the chew germs. We're all in this together. Coming soon, the many adventures of These Nuts in a theater near you.
Feedback.
Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you.
Feedback, feedback, feedback.
Welcome you back, and hope you had a chance to take care of some business in between. And one of the things, just as a side note, I usually tell people, let's say if you're looking at just regular commercial television, that sometimes people become couch potatoes and just sit up there. But anytime you get a break, you know, and the commercials are not, I mean, maybe they're entertaining you, they do nothing for me at all. However, I would say in between those, the parts of the show that you're looking at, the program you're looking at, when a commercial comes on, get up and do a little physical activity. Maybe do 5 touch your toes things, or maybe do 5 jumping jacks. But just keep your body active. I've been in a few places lately, and I've talked with people my age, younger and some older, and it's just a very important thing to keep flexibility in your body. So that's just my little note for today. Anytime there's a commercial, you know, and you ain't got to do it every commercial, but do something. Don't let your body become so relaxed in that easy chair, that lazy boy. Don't get lazy with the lazy boy or the sofa. You know, make some kind of movement. I'm speaking to old and young, because there's a lot of young people who have let themselves become too relaxed, and you may be sitting up at a video game or something like that. But movement is key to longevity. Sweating gets all the toxins out your body. But now, Kim had something she wanted to say regarding the recent debate and something that Agent Orange, I guess so many different names for the Pumpkinhead, anything you want to say, but you know the orange guy I'm talking about. So what was that comment you wanted to make, Kim?
I wanted to bring up how in the debate he called African American people predators, and the way I see it is Caucasian people, they see us as prey, and they see us as predators, but to us, we're the prey, and we're being attacked by the predators. And I feel like they're so scared of us because of our melanin and because we have so much power. And I feel like us black people need to remember that we have a voice, and we can speak up and fight for what's right and fight for our rights. Even though it may be hard, we still should try, and instead of just laying back and letting it happen.
You know, and I want to add something to what she said I think is very critical. When we think about the fight we're in, okay, and the struggle continues. As my boy Rudy Rock, shout out to you, Rudy Rock, says, the struggle continues. It's ongoing. And the point that I want to mention and just tag on to what Kim said was that we have more power than we're really aware of. We really do. Our power has been manifested in the things that we have brought to this country, not only from the motherland, Al-Kebulon, people call Africa, but okay, we'll just run with what the common narrative is now until everybody gets on board. But we brought so many things to it, and then even within this country, having been the ones who were doing the work, we came up with so many innovations to make our life easier, because as Tahira said, we were catching hell. We were dying out there, and they just had us producing children so we could just have the next person up, you know, get you ready to run. So one of the things that's important is that we understand, and this is no holds barred right now, the truth offends people, but if the truth hurts, then get ready for some pain. And if you're not ready for the truth, then going back to your comic books and that kind of thing, because the world we live in is real. Now, I want to bring up another thing. I'm going to chime in with Sister Tahira, but there was a little debate on Facebook, and some people were saying Malcolm and some people were saying Martin. This is what I got to say. Okay, Martin had a good heart. He had a loving heart. He was brought up in the church. His father was a minister. So he had an idealistic view of trying to change the hearts of our enslavers, our oppressors, who still continue to this day. That's where his heart was. Malcolm, being a product of the streets, number one, and then also, while in prison, came in touch with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and understood his blackness. So Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was an idealistic person, and he wanted to look for the betterment of man, or look for the humanity of man within the Caucasian. Malcolm X was realistic. He saw it as it was. And so I tended to be more of a Malcolm follower. I did not feel that if you slapped me on my one cheek and it hurt, raised a whelp, I was swelling on one side, I'm supposed to offer the other cheek for you to slap it again and hope that your humanity would kick in. Well, we've been here over 400 years. Humanity has not kicked in. I mean, there are some good ones. Tim Wise, Jane Elliott, there's a number who put themselves at risk for speaking up for us, but that's just a small group. Now, others may feel that way, but until you show it, we don't know it. Sister Tahira.
Yes.
In your opinion and how you feel, and I want to say something, this sister is no stranger to the microphone. I listened to her show when she was on public radio. I still owe her some tapes, but I just not technically savvy. But she did something called the African World View. And her, along with Mzee Nabawi, just really elevated my consciousness, my self-awareness. So when I walk around, just like the crown that you see Sister Tahira wearing, and the one that I'm wearing, and braids that Kim have, this is all our culture. Other people have been trying to co-opt it, you know, and act like we didn't do it. But now, how do you feel, Sister Tahira? And let me just do this for Les Little. Les gave me this flag a long time ago. I had issues with the American flag, you know, back in the 60s. Caucasian students were, the Weathermen and other, those so-called radical groups were burning it. But Les Little helped me understand that our blood, as Sister Tahira said, Crispus Attucks, our blood is in the soil of this land. We fought in every conflict that this country had, and we were on the front lines. You know, they put us on there anyway because we were just, you know, would be casualties of war.
Well, we volunteered during the Civil War because we knew that meant our freedom.
Right. And maybe you can elaborate on that, because we thought it was going to get us something, but what has it gotten us?
Well, it did get us something. But, you know, in this long, you know, our history, we've been here for millions of years. And enslavement is just a tiny little pinch of our history. That red, white, and blue flag right there, it's actually on one of the thrones of the pharaohs in Kemet that the United States took and used it as the American flag. But what we need to understand, though, Brother Thabiti, is that we are the greatest people on the planet. Everybody wants to be like us because we are the stuff, okay? And if, Kim, if you get a chance, read the book by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, The ISIS Papers. They are, Caucasian people are afraid of us because we, according to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who is a black psychiatrist, may my goddess be pleased with her. She has moved on to the ancestral realm. But thank you to her. She wrote the book, The ISIS Papers, as a psychiatrist. She was telling us that black people possess melanin. And the melanin makes our skins brown, the brown, the dark color that it is, helps us run faster, helps us think faster and move quicker, why we always dominate the sports. Other wonderful things that we're still finding out about melanin. But the one thing that Caucasians are afraid of, because the white people are a tiny minority of population on the planet. They call us minorities, but they're actually the minority. And that when the Caucasian or white people started traveling around the planet, sailing the 7 seas, they would go to different places, islands, Africa and other places. Everywhere they went, it was full of black people. All it was black people everywhere they went. And when they stayed, they had sexual relations, and they would have children by these black women. And when the baby come out, the baby not white, okay? The baby is black, brown, is not white, okay? And so the Caucasian or white person has deduced that being a tiny minority on the planet, if they just got along with and got with everybody on the planet, all these black people, they would cease to exist as a race of people because there's a tiny minority of them. I think they're less than 1/10 of the population on the planet. So anytime a black man has relations with a white woman, when the baby comes out, the baby is black. A white woman or a black woman with a white man, the baby comes out black. Okay, so they're afraid of genetic annihilation. So in Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's book, The ISIS Papers, she's saying that that is their subliminal and subconscious fear of black people. And so that's why they created racism, to keep the races apart. We can't have you just everybody getting along. We will cease to exist as a race of people. And Dr. Welsing says she went around the world and asked Caucasian people, do you want your grandchildren to be white? Do you want your great-grandchildren to be white? Do you want your children to be white? And they said yes. So that means they would not want to be mixed, their children to be mixed. So they created these constructs to keep our people apart, black people apart from the white race, so that they would not be genetically eliminated. And this is her theory, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's theory. So that's in the book, The ISIS Paper. The other thing I wanted to touch on is you mentioned the Charles H. Wright Museum. That is our museum that Dr. Charles H. Wright, who is a gynecologist, who went into gynecology to save black women from butchery while they were having children. Okay, they would be butchered by white doctors, killing them, butchering them, killing the baby, kind of thing that we probably dealing with now, because black women die twice as much as white women in childbirth. Okay, right now today. So Dr. Wright did that. He started the Charles H. Wright Museum in his house, and Coleman, the Honorable Mayor Coleman Young, and him got together and put together the Charles H. Wright Museum where it's at now. The Charles H. Wright Museum is our museum, but it's been taken over by white corporate interests. And so today, that's why you see that slave ship where the slaves look all relaxed and everything, because the wrong people are controlling the narrative of our people. And that's why we, I'm a member of the Black Legacy Coalition, and we formed because they brought in Thomas Jefferson. It was a traveling exhibit. And Thomas Jefferson, for those that don't know, he enslaved 600 of our ancestors, okay, in what's called Monticello. It's his plantation. He enslaved us. And in this exhibit, they have Thomas Jefferson standing there with his chest out and looking straight up and out, out somewhere, but that's the statue, right? And then behind him was a wall of 600 names of our enslaved ancestors. He looking all proud, right? Thomas Jefferson had enslaved Sally Hemings. That's who they named her. Excuse me. Sally Hemings, they depicted in this exhibit as being a happy slave that was happy to be raped repeatedly at 16, 13, or 14 by Thomas Jefferson, had their children, forced to have children by him. And they denied it all the way up until DNA exposed it. She ended up having 6 children by him and negotiating their freedom, because Thomas Jefferson had enslaved all of them. We were against that narrative of the happy slave and the happy enslaved child. And we formed the Black Legacy Coalition with Dr. Gloria House, Reverend Dr. Joanne Watson, rest in peace, in paradise. And we are still existing today. You do need to get a membership at the Charles H. Wright Museum so that you can hold them accountable and tell them we want to have, we elected people, black people and leaders, to be on that board of directors, so you won't be coming out here with these wild notions. Also, the other thing to remember about that exhibit, we got out there and picketed it too, is that exhibit, once you went and paid your money to see it, that money went to Monticello to help refurbish Thomas Jefferson plantation. That is, you know, we paying for our own demise. You know, taking our money and helping restore the plantation. So that's what I want to say.
And I want to follow up on what you said, Kim, as far as this, I would call it character assassination, in that you mentioned predator is their vision of us, and we are the prey, and we're certainly the prey. The statistics in terms of cops shooting black men, unarmed black men at that now, not only police, but we think about Ahmaud Arbery, who was killed in Georgia by two Caucasian, a father and son. Just figure they sitting on the porch, and what is this black guy looking in this house that was under construction, and they decide they're gonna chase him down with a truck and just shoot him in cold blood. And to the best of my knowledge, and there's so much information, sometimes it's hard to keep it all in track. They, for it seems like maybe a year or so, nothing came of it, but it came out, I believe the Reverend Al Sharpton or someone, it was brought to his attention. So just like with Trayvon Martin, we needed someone to bring it to the national spotlight, because as long as it stayed in that little small hick town in Georgia, nobody was going to know about it. Similar to, I think it was Sanders, something, Florida. I'm not really sure because that's been a little while, where Trayvon Martin was. I mean, George Zimmerman was just able to freely, you know, he's the neighborhood watchman, and he was the predator, and Trayvon Martin was the prey. And we know how that turned out. And Zimmerman was able to get off basically scot-free. And it really, it stings me when I see how they're sitting there with their lawyer, and then when the jury says, oh, he's been found not guilty, and then they hug it and everything, you know, well, the devilish-minded people stick together. His defense attorney and such. So, as Sister Tahir was saying, but to Kim's point, we are viewed as, no matter how we conduct ourselves, as predators. And I'd like to just say, and I have to give a shout out to my niece, Leela. They always show the worst of us, and they got a lot of worst too. I mean, it's documented in history. But my niece Leela recently, back in May, graduated from Howard University Law School. She's working now on getting her, what do they call it when you, she's preparing for the bar exam so she can legally practice in Florida. Awesome. So, and she says, she's told us, I found out from my sister who's visiting here from there, that Leela has felt a little overwhelmed with what it takes, but the fact that she got out of Howard Law School is a testament to what we can do. And we need, and those, I mention her because these are the youth, just like my granddaughter, who are not given their just due, because we have many more who are going to college than are in jail. And there may be some disparity in that. However, we've got more black men who are accomplished and women who are accomplishing things than we would be led to believe.
Well, we created law. Yeah. Law comes from Egypt, from Kemet. We're the ones that created law. We created morality. We created religion. Everything that we see now as part of civilization, we brought it. We are the ones responsible for law. They talk about criminals. They're the criminals. They stole the books from Alexandrine in Egypt, and the Greeks did, and Alexander the Macedonian. We don't call him Alexander the Great. He's Alexander the Macedonian. What he did was loot the libraries of the universities of Kemet, which taught law and taught morality, medicine, and mapping the stars. When you go to Kemet, you're going to see it all on the temple walls.
You know, one of the things that I want to add now, as Sister Tahira said, they call him Alexander the Macedonian. The people I ran would call him Alexander the Greek. But whatever he wasn't the great. We know that he wasn't the great. And he gave many of the books that they looted from Alexandria. I believe his teacher was either Socrates or Plato. It was one of those three, the so-called big three in philosophy, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. So he gave many of the teachings. So a lot of the things that the Greeks taught, they were learned. Matter of fact, our Egyptian system and mystery system in particular, it took us a while before we would even accept or deal with these people because they were so primitive and barbaric. And I mean, they call themselves barbarian, you know, so it's not like somebody throwing shade. That's what they call themselves, because that's what they were. Invaders.
Stolen Legacy.
Yes.
By George G.M. James.
Yeah, excellent book. I have that in my collection. That's another thing. We were talking about books, and we're getting close to a break. But let me say this real quick about books. I was looking at something on YouTube last night, and it was saying, okay, it's fine for you to read, you know, your tablet, something off your phone, but it's nothing like opening up a book. And they say you should read at least 30 minutes a day because it does so many things. One, because you have a book, you're looking at the words of an author, like Sister Tahira mentioned, Dr. Francis Cress Welding, there's so many, Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henry Clark, the list is just endless. So when you read, not only are you learning from the author and seeing it from their visual standpoint, but you're also allows your imagination to kind of embrace and take in the scope of what's being said. Now, again, you can get little sound bites here and there, but if, like I said, when the commercials come, get up and move. Also, you know, turn your tablet, your TV, your cell phone, whatever off. Spend 30 minutes a day. Now, there's 24 hours in a day, so if you look at 30 minutes, there are 48 30-minute segments in a day. If you spend 30 minutes reading, you still got 47 more half hours. That's a lot that you can just do anything in. You know, make yourself a healthy meal or whatever, but take that 30 minutes and let your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews see you involved in that so they will pick up that habit. One thing that always warms my heart, and it has never failed me, is when I see somebody at the bus stop, and it could be of any race when I say this, and I see them with a book in their hand as opposed to looking at that phone. The phone strains your eyes, which is no good because the print is very small, and you can only enlarge whatever you're looking at so much. Not only that, you have to, there's so much disinformation, misinformation, and just straight up lies that are being told that you really have to look at various sources. Now, we're on our way to the last half hour. We're about to take, again, a pause for the cause, as they say, FCC and such. So, again, you can refresh your drink. I wouldn't suggest a donut. It's not healthy. But, you know, eat an apple or something, or orange. Come on back. Let somebody else know that you're checking us out, and we'll be back to enlighten you. Kim's going to start talking about curriculum at school when we get back, because that, as a student, that's a concern of hers. So do your thing, but come on back and do it with us.
With your host, Butter and Friends. Butter here, magician escape artist, practicing for my show tonight. Come on in, have a seat.
All right, everybody settle. Butter, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
In a few seconds, there gotta be enough to get out of this one. Twist a little turn, ta-da!
It's showtime. It's your old friend Butter here. I may be a nut, but I know to wear my mask. Please welcome our first guest tonight, fitness guru, Wally Walnut.
Wally Walnut here to tell you to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds so you will stay healthy and strong like me.
Almond Cruz here, sliding in with the news. Just this is what we must do to stay away from the chew and other germs in the air that might be trying to get on you. Social distancing is a wonderful way to see friends. As long as you're 6 feet apart, you win.
Hey there, friends. I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's me, Pumpkin Spice, your healthy girl. Remember, it's important to use your kind hearts and follow the signs to stay healthy and safe at all times.
Chica Chiminsky here to say, don't forget the little ones that need you to lead the way. That's how we remember to wash our hands, mask, and social distance today.
Morgan Raisin. Yes, it's me, here to sing about health and safety. We are all here to help get a message out to your grapevine, teaching healthy choices to stay safe all the time.
Don't let these guys drive you nuts. Put your mask on first, they'll let you be. And it keeps me safe from the...
Chew!
That's trying to get on me.
Butter me up. She's right, you know. Thank you, Hallie Cranberry, for joining the show. Let's all be nuts about our health. Social distancing, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and wear a mask. Practice what we learned to stay away from the germs. We're all in this together. Coming soon, the many adventures of these nuts in a theater near you.
WGPR Detroit, HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am the Beatty and Pina,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback.
Welcome back to the last segment of Feedback. And again, a shout out to Theo. And I want to remind everyone again that today is July 22nd. And it's the last day that you can register to vote in the primary, which is August 6th. Now, if you're not registered and you're unable to vote in the primary, which I want you to understand primary, what it does is it eliminates a lot of people, and it just comes down to whoever's going to run for whatever particular office on the Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, all these parties that are out there. It just eliminates those who didn't make the cut, so to speak, like in sports, and it gets the numbers down to the people who will be in the general election in November. So if you're not registered now and you miss out on the primary, okay, that's how it is. But make sure that you're registered for the November presidential election. And I also want to emphasize again, as I said earlier, we need to get people out on the same level that you came out in 2007. He became president in 2008, but in 2007, when former President Barack Obama was elected, we need those kind of numbers out. It seems like it's hard to generate interest. We're at a point now, as many of you know or will know, that Joe Biden is no longer running for the presidential nomination. Kamala Harris, his vice president, has been chosen by Joe Biden, but again, this has to be decided at the Democratic National Convention, where they pick a candidate. So we have Kamala Harris, and we don't know who, if she is chosen by the Democratic National Convention, who her vice president may be. But just make sure that you let your voice be heard. As Brother Les has said on many occasions to us, your voice is your vote. Now, I want to ask Kim, because we were talking about, on the way to the station, we were talking about curriculum and curriculum in schools. And this is very important. This is why parents should attend these type of meetings. They used to be called PTA. Now I think they're called LSCO. That came around when my children were at the Malcolm X Academy. But Kim, share with us what you were thinking about the curriculum and what the school should be able to do for it.
I think the school should be able, like, for specifically my school and for other schools too, they should have more extracurricular activities, and they should have more things for the students to do. Because, for example, my school doesn't have a football field, nor do we have a lot of extracurricular activities or electives, as a matter of fact. Like, we only have one foreign language, which is Spanish. And I feel like the school should have at least 2 or 3 more foreign languages for the students instead of just having just Spanish. And because I remember in middle school, we had Japanese. So I feel like maybe our school should allow us to have Japanese or Chinese or even
African languages.
Yeah, or what's another language? But just more languages basically. And the football field. A lot of boys like to play football, and well, as a girl, I would say that maybe some schools should start allowing to have girls football, like flag football, and so the girls can have something too instead of just cheerleading or doing like dance or majorette. Or, and for another example, band. Students love band. If my school had a band like club or something like that, I would join it because I like band. I like music. So I feel like schools, the district should put more money into those into schools like that for so schools can have more stuff for students to do, so students can want to go to school more. Because some students, they don't really want to go to school to do their work. They should do their work, be able to, excel and stuff, and will excel. But students, they wanna have stuff to do also that's fun too, instead of just going for work and just doing work and work and work. Students, they want to have fun still. So
learning should be fun.
Right.
And I know you're involved with the schools, Sister Tahira. I'm gonna let you kind of go right in on that.
Yeah, I taught a class of crochet at Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy before the pandemic, but then the pandemic came, and I'm like, well, I don't want to up close and personal crochet with the young people and maybe catch something. But I think that's excellent. That Kim, I'm gonna adopt you. I mean, just you my baby now. I'm just telling you, I got to have you. But that was what we remember the meeting when we were going to school. We had Glee Club, we had band, we had different things like wood shop, metal shop.
Yes.
All these things made it fun to go to school. You may not. I know people who are musicians today, who play music with the Dramatics. There was a brother who had played with Michael Jackson because he did music over at Cooley. That's our art form, music. And with melanin, melanin is said to enable us to be able to turn light energy into sound energy and back into, and vice versa, sound energy back into light energy. That's what melanin enables us to do. That's why we are the greatest at music. So I'm glad you said that, Kim. If they took the music out of the curriculum for a reason. They made school boring for a reason.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. One of the things that we know, particularly if you're familiar with melanin, is that the melanin molecule itself responds to any form of energy, whether it's visible, sonic, or invisible energy. So when we hear sounds, and as those who don't know, we tend more towards the drum, the percussion, the heavier low frequencies, the bass, which is why these brothers, when you hear them in them cars, they're 2 blocks away, but you can hear them coming. It's something about that bass that excites the melanin molecule, and we can get into it. And I want to include my Native American brothers too, because they had, I guess they call them tom-toms, but the same thing. We were into percussion. we were into nature. Melanin has allowed us to really vibe with nature more than anyone else. Now, the Native American, obviously because of his skin color, he had melanin in him too. Even Caucasians have it to some degree because they turn tan. You know, they may not, and some of them want to be tan. I've worked with a few, female and a male in particular, and they felt comfortable with me. Their being comfortable with me let them express themselves without restriction and without fear of being judged by it. They say, oh, you know, Thabiti's a cool guy, you know. I don't feel uncomfortable with him. As Kim has said, the predator thing, I was far from predator in their mind. Yeah. So their fear is because of their love. They wish they could, but they can't. You know, our melanin has allowed us. I mean, when you look at us dancing, when you look at us roller skating, when you look at us get ready for the Olympics coming up in a few days, you're gonna see us shine. We just do that, and we just do it naturally. We, you know, it's not even a thought. We don't have to try so much. And some of us do, because I know some brothers that got 2 left feet and they couldn't dance, and they may be dark as night, but they ain't got it in them. So I want to push that because we need to learn more about our biological and chemical makeup. When we see red, we see red. When Caucasians see it, they may see a lighter shade of it because the melanin allows us that. Now there are more. Now here's something. Sister Tahira was dropping some knowledge with Dr. Francis Cresswell Singh and a few people. Let me bring in a Caucasian. His name was Gregor Mendel. He was an Austrian monk, and he was a biologist. And he spoke about dominant and recessive genes. And he said brown eyes are dominant, blue eyes are recessive. Dark skin or brown skin is dominant, pale skin is recessive. You can get the recessive from the dominant, but you cannot get the dominant from the recessive. In other words, black people can produce any racial group, which includes albinos on Earth. Caucasians can only produce other Caucasians. They cannot produce any other thing. Our whole genetic setup is different. So when they say we're all the same, let's say we all are human to whatever degree we want to use that term, but we're not all the same. We have different characteristics, just like male and female have different characteristics. That's just nature. It's not, and I don't think I'm better than anybody, but if you look at my hat, oh, here it is right here. Sorry, let me do this real quick. It says, I didn't choose to be black, I just got lucky. Yeah, remember that. So, we need to be proud of that. There was a time when you used to say black, you would start a fight. Back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, you call somebody black, you better get ready to fight. But now, thanks to James Brown in part, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud.
But we do have other little hints because we have, remember the cliche, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice?
Exactly.
We had those kind of sayings, and black power. Yes. Black is powerful, and that's what we were saying, not just politically, but the melanin is powerful. So we still celebrated our melanin, even, you know, through cliches culturally.
You know, one of the things, and I've done a little the biological and psychological studies, one of the things that melanin does is, for instance, when you get cut, melanin rushes to the site of the cut to prevent infection, just like the white blood cells do. They work in tandem together. And that little brown thing you call a scab is actually melanin. Melanin was present to make sure that whatever that bacteria was, that foreign virus, whatever it may be, it stopped right there in that spot. When you look at development of black infants, they walk faster than other groups. They are able to just excel, and this is just something that the melanin itself does. It's not, again, there's no arrogance of what I'm saying. It's just facts, and people who don't want to be oblivious to the truth will accept it. All truth is not really welcome by people, but you still can't stop it from being true.
And they're studying our melanin now. Yes. As a matter of fact, they're using melanin to help Caucasian everybody. Melanin is used in the sunscreen because melanin protects us from ultraviolet radiation and skin cancer. So they are putting melanin in sunscreen. They're putting melanin in the sleep aids. You know, melatonin.
Right.
They help them sleep because we naturally can sleep. You know, so we want to know how they getting these experiments and where they're getting. And some say that remember the Atlanta child murders.
Yes.
That they were taking those children and experimenting with the melanin. Now this is. I'm not saying that it was proven, but this has been feared by some black scientists that's what's happening. But we are being studied. Our melanin is being studied by others for their protection. As a matter of fact, they're synthesizing melanin. Melanin to us is like chlorophyll to the plants. And they are studying our melanin through not only us, but looking at plants.
You know, it's interesting. They've been doing, from my readings, maybe since 1917, the 1920s or something, they've been having melanin conferences. The interesting thing is that there's no black people at these melanin conferences. As Sister Chihira said, they're studying us, trying to find a way. And you know, it's kind of interesting you said that when you were mentioning about how I forget who it was. I think Dr. Francis Cress has, do you want your child to be white?
Yes.
Well, it's interesting because I saw something within the last year or two where they were interviewing certain Caucasians, and they were actually, and the females in particular, were saying they wanted, some of them, wanted to have children that had melanin, melanin in them. So that because they didn't want their race to die. I'm gonna let one of y'all take it while I clear my throat.
And then there are black melanin conferences where black people go to study our melanin. Dr. Carol Barnes, excellent. Look him up, everybody, because the media loves to have you study or look things up. Look up Dr. Carol Barnes, Dr. Richard King. Look up several black scientists that are studying melanin, and then ASCAC, the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization. They are doing research in melanin. Excuse me, and look up the melanin conferences, the black melanin conferences. The Caucasian that are still having the melanin conferences, they're spinoffs from our black melanin conferences. So just so you know that melanin protects our skin from skin cancer and all other types of cancer. The sun is our friend. We need to go into the sun because when the sun rays bounce off our black melanated skin, we produce vitamin D, not synthetic vitamin D. Synthetic vitamin D is in the pills. That is not vitamin D. The real vitamin D is when you go out in that sun, black people, and get that vitamin D, the natural vitamin D that your body produces. The reason why our hair is kinky is because on the equator, the hair protected our brains from that ultraviolet, that real sunlight, that the real rays, so that kinky hair protected our brains from that ray source.
And you know what's interesting, this is something else I discovered just in reading and studying, that that's why when Bwana, as they would call the Caucasian in the Tarzan movie, Bwana, he always had to wear that pith helmet because he could not, with his stringy hair, deal with all that sunlight. Like you say, our hair was made as protection. When we were designed by the Almighty Creator, whomever you may want to call him to be, when we were designed the original. We were designed to be able to deal with and withstand anything, which is why we're still here.
That's right.
After everything that we've dealt with in this country in particular, we have been able, you know, they just can't figure it out. And how were we able to be so happy? I mean, we you know, we were miserable in our work, in our efforts, but those spirituals and other things, which is music, to what you were saying, Kim, about having, you know, more than just having a band, because there's something about music that not only calms down humans, quote unquote humans, but it does the same thing for animals, and it does it for plants too. People don't understand frequencies and vibrations. We are all made of atoms, which have electrons, protons, neutrons, and a lot of other subatomic particles. All these things vibrate. We are a condensed version of it, so therefore we are solid, three-dimensional in how we're made. But when you look at the air, you can't see the air, but it's molecules and atoms as well. So we respond to music, which is why, as Sister Chihira said, our music is all over the world. I mean, Miles Davis, we can go back, some Cannonball Adderley, some Armstrong, some Ella Fitzgerald. We can come all right on up to today, Motown,
even
hip-hop.
Classical music, Ludwig van Beethoven was called a blackamoor.
Yeah.
And I think his teacher was Thoreau. He was black. Look that up, everybody. It's a picture in a book called Sex and Race by Joel A. Rogers.
Yes.
That shows a sketch of Beethoven from life. And I just wanted to make one more mention about melanin. You heard the term black don't crack.
Right.
It's because melanin keeps us looking young. I mean, we don't have all them wrinkles. Like if you look at Joe Biden when he first got in office, and then fast forward to here, or you look at Caucasian people, they have a lot of wrinkles. Before they didn't have all those wrinkles because they find that if they lay out in the sun, it causes wrinkles. But black don't crack.
You know, it's interesting in that too that seeking a tan, they'd risk skin cancer just to have that color. As I say, I've had Caucasian friends, still friends too, because there's always mutual respect. And when you get, and that's the first thing we want from anybody. If you don't get nothing else from anybody you're dealing with, you want to get respect. Because once they respect you, then everything else falls in place. If they don't respect you, nothing falls in place. But to run the risk of damaging yourself, skin cancer, that type of thing, aging prematurely, you know, and sometimes I think there's a book called The Iceman Inheritance by Michael Bradley. He's a Canadian, and he spoke about how living in the caves of Europe caused the Caucasian to be more aggressive, because in the wintertime, like we said, how we worked in the fields in the wintertime, or were forced to work in the fields in the wintertime, they had to scrounge for whatever they could. There's no vegetation there in Northern Europe. You know, you go to Sweden, you go to England, Germany. When it gets cold there, it's like cold here in Detroit. It's rough. So they ate more raw meat, which is why they tend to want their food rare, because they like the taste of that blood. And just be mindful of this. After it takes over, I believe they say 2,500 years. I was listening to Dr. Africa. He has a book, African Holistic Health. It takes over 2,500 years for the biome in your gut to change. We don't have it. Now, we're getting down to the last 5 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun, and we're having fun here today. So I'm gonna go around and let everyone have a minute or so to share whatever their closing thoughts might be, and then I'm gonna pull the shades on the curtain, and we're gonna call it a day. I'm gonna start with Sister Chihira.
Okay, and now thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I told you I'm adopting Kim. I mean, see, Kim, I'm gonna have to be your Facebook friend or something. But I'm so encouraged by her knowledge and what she brought to the discussion today. It is important to give our children music because it's in our soul. It prevents us from feeling agitated and feeling down and out. And even if you do feel down and out, you're going to make some blues music. You know, you're going to put it in the music. So we need that in our schools. I also want to share with our public, we've got a co-op. You know, we need food, fresh vegetables, and, you know, that helps our melanin. Don't forget, you can join the People's Food Co-op. It is not, you know, we're not trying to make money off of anybody. We're trying to get food to people. So you can go on DetroitPeoplesFoodCoop.com and find more information. We got the co-op. It's on Woodward and Euclid. And shop there. Get your food and fruits and vegetables, everything. You can even use your bridge card and get a discount if you use your bridge card. So I did want to leave that.
Oh, yeah, and it's very important. And I want to let Kim give a comment. And then I also want to ask you while you're commenting, what instrument would you play, or would you sing, or what would you do?
I would you do the drums, because I like how when you hit the drums, it gives off a nice sound, and I like hearing the drum sound. Like when we go to church, you hear the drums and you get into the rhythm. And one thing I was gonna say is I did not forget, but I was gonna shout out my boyfriend. He does football and basketball. And he does a little bit of soccer, so he does a little bit of everything. And I just want to shout him out for doing all those sports, because a lot of people can't do all those sports at once. Like I know Colin Kaepernick, he did a lot of sports, you know, when he was doing in high school. And I just want to, you know, shout out to my boyfriend, because he does a lot of stuff.
What's his name?
His name is Anthony.
Anthony, okay. Can I shout out Brother Mzee Nabawi?
Yes.
Thank you, Brother Mzee Nabawi, for giving me all this knowledge and making me want to do more.
And as I close out, I just want to say that I'm glad to have these two sisters here holding it down with me, because a man's not anything without a female. What did James Brown say? It's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman. But I also want to mention that when Kim mentioned her boyfriend, both of them are honor roll students, 3.0 and better, like in the 3.45 range. So not only are they involved in things, let's say artistically or athletically, but they're also academically sound. And I want to quote Theo, because it's one thing she always says at the end of the show, and then I'll end with mine. Theo always says, it's not necessary to know everything. What is necessary is to know how to find what you need when you need it. So get in touch with Hood Research. Phone number 248-234-2371. Become a member of Hood Research. $25 membership for a year. So many wonderful activities we sponsor. And as I always say at the end of the show, if you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you finish. So join us next week. Theo, Mark Cummings, shout out, brother. And we will see you then. And register to vote, please.
Feedback. Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am Thabiti Mpinda.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
A positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
And take us along with you. Feedback. Feedback. Feedback.